So, Pranav, next slide, please. All right, so it's a quick definition of equity. So, first of all, we are committed to provide a tournament free of discrimination, harassment, bullying, and vilification, which means that we don't want you guys to be discriminating each other or bullying each other because of certain factors like your age, your, let's say, your social standings, or anything like that. So, we have an equity policy. This applies to everybody, not just you guys. Even we can't do anything. Even the judges cannot discriminate you guys. Next, please. So, yeah, we work with hundreds of teenagers and children, so we know what we're doing, providing training and building a community through debates. We recognize that debating should be a respectful exchange where everybody feels welcome and able to express themselves. And there should be like dignity involved, so you're not disrespecting each other. That's why we're here to uphold these values and ensure all these guidelines and policies are followed properly to maintain that it's an inclusive environment and it's not like unsafe for anybody. Next. So the scope of the policy, which I've already mentioned, applies to everybody, speakers, organizing committee, parliament staff, debaters, and you have to follow this at all times. So yeah, make sure that you're not messing around too much. Uh, all right, so you guys, these are general policies which we've made. So you have to observe all tournament guidelines at all times, avoid any distracting or incorrect actions. Respect should be shown to all participants at all times. Provide only constructive criticism and feedback to other people. And while you're actively participating or watching, please uphold these values. It's truly critical, and it's like a collective duty to uphold an atmosphere that's inclusive for everybody. Yeah, next. Okay, so these are the things which you cannot discriminate a person on, or like offend them about. So age, debating abilities, disabilities, disease status, languages, these all are things that you're supposed to be mindful of and inclusive about. All right, so these are the things which these are just in detail where you cannot bully a person or discriminate them or harass them about their behaviors, anything. Mm. And also, you're not allowed to use AI at all during the event or use external help or case files or print extra documents before the event. You can do it during it, but not before. Right, Pranit?
Okay. So first of all, the judges must not share contact or social media information with each other or anyone among the participants. Secondly, for feedback rounds, if you guys need any feedback from the judges, you guys could mail us on support@theteendebater.com. We will try our best to contact you with that. First of all, and secondly, no round requires to share information unless mentioned. Then this tournament is being recorded for educational and social media purposes, as I already mentioned. And then the contestants may share their experience online, but please do not coerce others to share their private or personal information, right? Secondly, when we are looking at our complaint procedure, if any of you guys feel the breach of policies, you guys could report a complaint to us, the equity team, through the form. You guys would be provided that form. Secondly, an informal complaint, if you have any raises concerns that do not require a formal response like suspending, etc., and this would be directly submitted to us, Shivam and I, as the equity team. Secondly, the a formal complaint, if you have any of them, seeks a formal resolution such as investigation or mediation, and must be documented in writing through the online complaint form to be actioned, even if initially raised in person, right? Secondly, when we again, complaint procedure for both formal and informal complaint, upon receiving the complaint either through the members or through the form, we as the equity team would be investigating the situation by watching the recordings and also the statements provided by y'all, right? Later, the consequence, if taken or not taken, will be shared with the speakers, only the speakers who are involved within it, right? Not everyone would be receiving this information. Next, when we are looking at what all actions which we are going to take, you guys need to understand that if any equity member, Shabam and I, observes any prohibited actions taken by y'all, then immediate action from reprimanding or like suspending participants may happen, right? So you guys need to be, right? Then we were looking at all formal and informal complaints would be handled by us, as already mentioned, the equity team, which will ensure the required investigation and actions taken in case if needed, right? Then we as the equity team are always allowed to disqualify participants if they seem to breach the TTD policies and tournament rules and attack other participants verbally rather than their argument. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I hope the equity brief is clear. If you guys have any complaint and you observed any discrimination that is happening against you or any other participants, please report that. The link has been shared in the chat to the form. Our equity team will look forward and will take action against it. Moving forward, we only have 15 minutes to start. So I will like the speaker to please share the screen about the briefings and inform our participants about the proceedings, please. He's just taking a second, just a second. Let me just share my screen, just. I hope my screen is visible. Pranav, this is visible?
Yeah, the
Yes,
screen
it
is
is.
visible.
Okay. Speak.
Okay. Hello, members of the parliament. I'm your speaker for today, Aman Mathur. And so I'll give you the order of business and I'll explain to you what exactly is going to happen in this youth parliament. So we're going to start with the introduction ceremony, which is currently going on. I will explain to you what the youth parliament is, how it will work, and how you'll be able to vote for a bill that you will pass. After which we'll do an oath of an affirmation. A random MP will be selected. You will read out the oath, either in your language or in English. After that, we will introduce the main topic. The leader of proposition, which is Prime Minister of India, you will read out the main topic and set the agenda for today's youth parliament. After which we'll have question hours. We will entertain 3 questions. If we do not believe the 3 questions are sufficient, we will entertain five. So we already have 4 responses, I think. Um, so if we don't feel that there's ample enough or support the like responses that's been given, we'll entertain the fifth question. Uh, Next we have debate and discussion on the motion. Now the motion is basically the bills that is being passed. Um, I think you guys have already discussed about the bill, since it is the educational reform, which is about the motion. That bill, which will then be passed, will then be discussed upon. Despite you guys being opposite parties, guys, please remember that the bill is collective for the entire parliament, and both parties need to amicably agree on voting. It is not just about the party, it's about India as a collective. You guys need to vote and you need to poke holes through the bills or affirm the bill using your own opinions, facts that you have, and whatever you would like to add on to the bill. Then we will give time for rebuttals. So now here the opposition gets to speak and gets to tell you why they do not believe that the bill should be passed through or what they think the bill has that they should vote about. They can veto stuff, they can reform the bill, or else if you agree with the bill, you can directly vote upon it, which is when we will go to the concluding statements. Concluding statements will be by the Prime Minister of India and the leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi. Here, you guys will have, I believe, a minute each. to conclude both the proposition and opposition speeches and the agenda for today for each party, after which we'll have voting and adjournment. Any questions? I'll take that as none. So if everyone understands what's the order of business, okay, Prime Minister of India, what is your question?
Speaker, if we does the Prime Minister of India get the chance to speak in the debate or the discussion on the motion?
Of course, you are the Prime Minister, which means that the bill that is being passed is from your own party. So even though the Education Minister is who is concerned with passing the bill, of course, and your entire party will be able to chip in, talk about the education reform bill, and basically rebut any statement from the opposition. Thank you. Any other questions? I'll take that as none. Okay, so since the order of business has now been completed, it has been set. So now I will explain to you what the youth parliament is. I will explain to you what we are about to do here. You guys should have already gotten the agenda and the main point, which is the education reform bill. However, do note, guys, the bill that you are passing, proposition, it has to be very specific. You need to make sure that it has all the facts and points you have to basically not get any questions from the opposition. That's how specific it needs to be. You can quote any article, any reform, any amend in the last 100 years of a constitution. Um, I'm pretty sure you can quote any article in order to support your points. This includes your speeches for your question hour. Other than that, the YP is just an emulation of the actual Parliament of India. So what we will do essentially is have a voting procedure after the bill. And in this case, since proposition does have a majority, um, I'm pretty sure we will also allow the deputy speaker to ask questions and also vote, because that way it will balance it out and it will make it unfair since we need to also have a power to veto the motion. Any questions? Okay, nothing confuses you guys. Good, that's good to know. You guys are good to catch on. Um, so since we have already 10 people, the main people are here, leader of opposition, Prime Minister is here, Minister of Education is here, MP of Palitraputra is here, MP of New Delhi is here, MP of Arak is here, MP of Karnataka is here, Minister of Tribal Affairs is here. Okay, so some of your members might join in the middle, considering it is a Saturday and they just might be late because of some who had technical difficulties. Some of your members might join in, but rest assured, despite you having less members in proposition or opposition at any given time, we will make sure that the voting process is fair. At any point during this session, you believe that the speaker has been unfair or something out of protocol has been taken out of place, you can write that in the complaint form. Also, if you believe that if that a speaker or a member of the other side of the session has interrupted you, again, you can object to that. You can appeal to me, since I'm the speaker, and you will get your time back for your speech. Any questions? No. Okay, since there doesn't seem to be any questions, uh, let's go through the order of business. And after right now, the introduction ceremony is adjourned. Perfect. 6:25. We will start the oaths now. Um, I'll need to select the MP to give the oath because some of us are not here right now. 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Can the MP of Karnataka give the oath, please? Would you like to do it in English or any other language?
It would be in English.
English. Okay, 1 second. I have sent you the oath. You can read it out loud. 1 second. Yeah, MP of Karnataka, you may begin.
I, Apurva, solemnly affirm that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, and that I will faithfully discharge the duty upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you, MP of Karnataka. So now the oath has also been completed. So we go into the third order of business, which is the introduction of the main topic and setting of the agenda. Uh, Prime Minister of India, would you like to step up and set the agenda for today's session?
Yes. Honorable Speaker, respected members of the House. Every time we speak about the future of India, one word comes to mind: youth. We are a country of young people, full of energy, full of ambition. But I believe the real question before us is this: are we giving them the right tools to turn that ambition into achievement? Today, our schools do a good job of teaching subjects, preparing students for exams. But life does not ask only for mark sheets. Life asks for skills, industries ask for employability, and our young people ask for opportunity. Too often, there is a gap between what they learn in classrooms and what they need outside them. That is why this House will debate a very timely and practical motion: expanding vocational training and digital infrastructure in government school. Put simply, this is about ensuring that a child in a small town or a rural village has the same access to practical skills and digital learning as a child in a big city. This motion forces us to consider important questions. Should our schools continue to be only about theory, or should they also prepare children for careers, entrepreneurship, and self reliance? How do we use technology to connect, not divide, so that a lack of devices or internet does not become a new form of inequality? And mostly important, how do we support and train our teachers so that they become leaders of this change, not bystanders to it? The answers won't be simple, and I do not claim they will be easy. But what is clear is that India cannot afford to ignore them, because the world around us is moving forward at a faster pace than ever. Either we prepare our children to lead that future, or we risk leaving them unprepared to face it. So I urge this House, let us not see this as government versus opposition, but as a shared responsibility. The debate we began today is not just about education policy, it is about shaping the destiny of an entire generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister of India. Now that you've set the agenda for the session, we'll start moving into formal debate and commence the session. The session has officially begun, members, and now we can start with the question hour. I'm entertaining three questions for now, so I'll start with the ones starting in order of who sent it first. Okay, so question one, not one, uh, from the MP of Araku. Question to the Minister of Education. If government schools are improving, why do so many parents, poor families still prefer private schools? Does this not show that public education needs deeper reform before we expand into new projects? Honorable Minister of Education, you may speak.
This is really a valid concern. Though the government of India has launched certain programs like PME Vidya and Digital India initiatives to make education more accessible, not just through smartphones, but also through radios, communication, and digital labs established in rural areas. We are also partnering with corporate social responsibility to provide affordable services and devices to rural schools. Our focus is on universal access rather than just elite access. The parents today not just prefer private school, but they also are preferring government schools, because recently in the government schools we have launched certain programs, and also as far as teacher training is concerned, we have launched a program named Nishtha, which is the largest teacher training program in the world, which is training lakhs of teachers in digital pedagogy. We are also reducing the shift and the widening gap between rich and poor by establishing certain applications like Diksha, Swayam, and e-Pathshala, which is providing equitable access to all the children.
MP of Iraq, you may respond to the speech of the Minister of Education. Is the MP of Iraq here? Yeah. MP of Iraq, do you have a speech ready for your given question? I'll take that as a no, I guess. But any other member of the parliament, I guess. Oh, you're not able to switch on your bell. Wait, can you like try clicking that? No problem. We'll just take a speech a bit later. Does anyone else want to respond to the Minister of Education? It's question hour, guys. There's a lot of stuff you can ask him about the specific question. If you want, I'll just wait. I'll send the question in chat. Okay, I'm guessing that there isn't really a response if MP of Araku can't unmute her mic, either technical problems. MP, could you try rejoining with a different device if you have any? Okay, fine. For now, we'll go to the next question. Thank you, Minister of Education. That was a suitable response. Um, let's see. In order, uh, they haven't specified the delegation. Who is who has the WhatsApp of Paramita Sinha Roy?
It's MP of Muzaffarnagar.
Okay. So question from MP of Nagar. Um, doesn't okay, this is directed this time the pathway system this during classes then. Okay, again, I guess this is related to two ministers this time. The Minister of Education and technically the other one is not there. So only okay, the Minister of Education, only you can respond to this. Doesn't scrapping the pass-fail system in fundamental classes risk lowering standards rather than raising them? I'll type it in chat as
I'm unable to read the question. Can you send it once again?
sure, Honorable Minister of Education. I'll send it again. I'll send it directly, I guess. If it's not able to see it.
Okay, so scrapping the pass-fail system in fundamental classes is, I think, not lowering the standards, but we need to make our youth ready for our industries, what our industries demand. So I believe, see, the recent reports, the economic survey of 2024 to 25 shows that barely 8.25% of our graduates find the job matching their qualifications. And even more worrying, the youth age 20 to 24, the unemployment is at 44.5%. Clearly, this is not a crisis of degrees, but a crisis of skills. So I believe the NEP 2020 policy, which we had passed earlier, which included vocational training from grade 6 onwards, is not just replacing the fundamental classes, the traditional system, but uh, it is a support to the traditional education system.
Thank you, Honorable Minister of Education. Um, I guess any member of proposition can rebut or ask any questions, any further questions. Guys, there are 5 MPs present here today. That would make it pretty much 6 people who are part of opposition. There are only 2 people from the opposition. It is not that hard to ask at least one question. You can give your reply. Sure, just clear it in the chat. I'll read it out.
My mic is working right now. Can I give the reply to the previous question I asked? I
Um,
have
no,
the question.
we'll first do this question, and then I'll allow you to do the reply for the first question that you had. Does anyone want to ask or respond to the Minister of Education, MP of Patliputra, MP of New Delhi, Karnataka, Muzaffarnagar? Anyone? Okay, fine. I'll ask. Oh, you? Okay, perfect. Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
So, Minister of Education, you say that you plan to get teachers who know how to handle the technology, right? But do you plan to spend money training the current teachers, or to bring in new teachers who are already pros that specialize in those fields?
Okay, so we
Minister of
are
Education, you may respond.
launching certain programs to train the current teachers also, the current teachers who are teaching currently in government schools and many of private schools. We are training them through a program. Also, the new teachers which are being trained through the B.Ed programs and others, we have also launched certain programs to support that their education, bachelor's in education and master's in education degrees. We have also launched some diploma courses to help the teachers in mastering technologies and also helping the children all through this online education system and also improving their vocational skills.
Any other questions to the Minister of Education? No. Okay. I'm guessing. Can we add to any of the answers? Um, MP of Karnataka, would you care to elaborate?
The Minister of Education has given the answer. Would it be possible to add any more points to it?
MP of Karnataka, do you realize that the Minister of Education is in the opposing party, and hence the question that was posed to the Minister of Education comes from your party?
No, add as in points to the existing discussion. Should it be sent through the chat informed in prior?
No, no. If you want to add any points to the existing discussion, you may just raise your hand.
Just a clarification.
Okay. Would you like to add any points? I take that as a no. Okay. So since the MP of Iraku has a functional mic now, we will go back to question 101. MP of Araku, you may give your reply to the Minister of Education for the question. If government schools are improving, why do so many parents, even poor families, still prefer private schools? Does this not show that public education needs deeper reform before we expand into new projects? MP of Araku, you may speak.
Thank you, Minister, for giving such a nice answer. Training teachers is important, but parents want to see a real change in their children's classrooms. How will you make sure this training will help the children in the real life, the everyday, day-to-day life?
I didn't get it. Can you repeat that once again?
Training teachers is important, but how can you tell that this can improve the children's everyday life and their skills?
Minister of Education.
So basically, you're questioning that how will this vocational training help them in daily life, if I'm not wrong?
Not the vocational training, the teacher training. How can you assure this will impact in the children's classrooms?
Classroom as in infrastructure.
Yeah.
Okay, let me clarify, Minister of Education. In your response, you said that you were offering a program to give vocational training to the teachers, which
Uh,
was the response you gave to the question that the MP of Araku asked. Now, the MP of Araku would like to know how exactly does vocational training have any effect on the parents and the poor families, and basically how is it like making them believe that there is actually more skills that is being offered to their kids, and how are the teachers being able to offer more skills to the students just by vocational training, I
okay,
guess. Is
so
that correct, MP of Araku?
Yeah. Thank you.
So basically, for the first point, how the vocational training is changing the mindset of parents. First point comes to the mindset of parents. So recently, we are not planning right now to replace the whole of the traditional education with the skills, but to make them run side by side. Also, the vocational training which we are providing is just the beginner level for grade 6 and grade 7, and it will eventually go to advanced level. And it will affect the daily life as a industry demand skills. The parents will see the parents will eventually see the change that the industry demands our skills. So the will demand is always fulfilled by a supply chain. So when we'll supply the skills by our students, then the industry will eventually grow. And investing in education is just like any other long term investment, which will surely give a high rate of interest, I guess. So it's basically, a long-term expenditure that we are making for our future only.
MP of Araku, would you like to give any follow-up?
Thank you, Minister, for giving this answer. I'm satisfied with the answer. Thank you.
Okay. Um, let's see. Okay, I won't question the Minister of Education any further. Question by MP of Karnataka. I'll respond in 2 minutes. Let me just introduce the third question. Um, so I originally got two questions from the MP of Araku, and since there isn't any question other that is really valid. Um, it's a question to the Minister of Finance. It says education reform, question 1.3. Education reforms require huge investments in infrastructure, teacher training, and maintenance. How will the government ensure that enough funds are provided and these reforms do not remain just on paper or not maintained properly afterwards. Since the Minister of Finance is not here, what we can do instead is that both the Prime Minister and the Minister of Education can respond to this question. One second. This is the question. I've typed it in chat box. Both the ministers can respond to this. And since Araku has already asked a question before, both the MP of Patli Putra and the MP of Araku can respond to this question.
I think there's some issues on the speaker's side. Is the speaker audible to everyone?
No.
No, no.
No.
No, it's not
Okay.
audible.
No, is not audible. So basically, what we can do at the moment is the question that has been proposed in the chat, if the Prime Minister and the Minister of Education, both of them or any one of them can answer that question, that will be great. The question proposed is education reforms require huge investments in infrastructure, teacher training, and maintenance. How will the government ensure that enough funds are provided and these reforms do not just remain on paper or maintained properly afterwards? Prime Minister and Education of Minister of Education can respond to this. Prime Minister, go ahead.
Um, Thank you to the MP of Araku for this question. Honorable Speaker, I would like to first of all say what India has already done in this regard. Uh, India, uh, um, India has already allocated 1.12 lakh crores of rupees for the education in the financial year of 2024-2025. Now, now what we can do for the fund allocation for these further developments in the education sectors are like we can actually partner up with public and private companies such as Infosys, TCS, Reliance, Geo. They are already pioneers in digital educations, and we can also have industry partnerships where business persons and skilled people can actually come to the institution and teach people. And then about the funding, actually India has actually put itself in a very great diplomatic position nowadays, so international aids and loans are actually open to India in pretty much every aspect. And World Bank, UNICEF, UNESCO, etc. can come to help at this point. Then the second part of the question asks that how are we going to ensure that this doesn't stay only on paper and it actually is functionable. How actually we are going to be allocating the allocation of the funds are going to be stricter. They are going to be watched and monitored at every point. Training, the vocational training of existing teachers and the teachers that are to be recruited, and all the other staff members that are required in the education department are being taken into great concern. And I think all of these and the digitalization of education at such a fast pace, all of these coordinate together to make a greater future for India.
Thank you, Prime Minister of India. Um, would the MP of Patliputra, Araku, or Muzaffar Nagar like to ask a question? Guys, normally you're supposed to just raise your hand and allow you to speak because you should ideally have a response to what the members of your opposition party are supposed going to say. For example, here the Prime Minister of India responded by talking about how they can get loans from other countries, international loans, how they can get organizational funding from UNICEF. If you want to know how they're going to secure those loans or how they're going to negotiate with the UNICEF, something like that, or how that has any effect on maintaining it properly. If you want to know on more about how they will make sure that even though the government is corrupt, they will make sure that the plan that they have done is maintained properly. You can say anything you want. There you go. MP of Patliputra.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you for your response, Prime Minister. While I understand the importance of these reforms, the reality is that many education reforms face challenges in sustaining long term impact due to budget constraints or misallocation of resources. How does the government plan to ensure that the funds allotted for infrastructure, teacher training, and ongoing maintenance are not only sufficient but are effectively monitored and utilized at the grassroots level so these reforms don't remain theoretical and are actually felt in classrooms across the country?
Can I answer, Honorable Speaker?
So the Prime Minister of India would like to answer. So Prime Minister of India.
So as I earlier mentioned that we will be enforcing stricter laws for the monitoring and monitoring the allocation of funds in every aspect, let alone education as well. So yeah, that is one thing. And then about the thing that you asked me, that we actually see tangible changes in our country, is that we are actually seeing it, and then there is a lot of problems that are need to be coped with, and we are actively working towards it. That's our whole agenda as the member of Lok Sabha. And the thing being that about the teaching and training of the teachers, and then today's bill that we will be talking about about the vocations and everything, about the vocational trainings and everything. I think they are gonna they're gonna put a lot of changes to the society, and we will be seeing them in a long term change, not if a short term. And I think that that is my response. Yeah.
Thank you, Prime Minister of India. Um, we have a question from one of our organizing members, Pranad.
Yeah, okay.
Pranad, you may ask a question.
Yeah, okay. So this question is particularly from for the Prime Minister of India. I'm audible, right? Yes. Now, ma'am, considering that in your previous two answers, you clearly mentioned that you have stricter laws for better budget allocating, right? Allocation. But, ma'am, your own government schemes, for example, let's take Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, right? Approximately 80%, and to be precise, 78.91% went into advertising rather than the education or other things went for girls. So when you are mentioning about stricter laws or etc., could you please mention what laws are you specifically taking? Because on one side you speak of having stricter laws, allocating better funds. On the other hand, your own government like allocates and spends majority of the funds for advertising, as seen in with the Beti Bachao Beti Padhao case. Thank you.
Prime Minister of India, you may reply.
Okay, about first of all about the advertising thing. Let me tell you, first of all, our in this recent years, even if the propagation of education among girls have increased, but in the very recent years when our government came into power, there wasn't a lot of awareness on it. So we really did have to invest a lot in its advertisement, invest a lot in its marketing, because people had to know about it. People had to be motivated to send their girl child, send their children to schools. That was one important concern, and thereafter only other actions could have been taken. For the very first action was to send this message to the people, which has been actually very successfully, almost in every nook and corner of India. This message has been propagated. Then thereafter, of course, the advertising costs will reduce with the course of time. And then the stricter laws that we're talking about is we are going to the funds that will be received from the taxes of the public, or maybe the international bodies, whatever. We are gonna actually monitor those funds, and whenever we send them to the state from the center, we are going to be very much what we are going to be very much surveillant of all those things, because nowadays funds are actually are being misappropriated from time to time. So there will be laws that will be separate discussions for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister of India. Okay, so considering the fact that we have already entertained three questions and we have 20 minutes time left, 25 minutes time left for the session, we will now go into the bill, for which the Minister of Education or the Prime Minister, have either of you prepared a bill? You may message me if you would like to present the bill, because either one of you has to present the bill so that we can get the session started. Okay, so the debate session, okay, in terms of order of business, we are now done with question hour. And now we will do debate and the discussion on the bill. In order to start the debate and discussion on the bill, the Minister of Education needs to read out and pass the bill. However, either of you might have made the bill. You can send it, you can discuss it. I'm giving you 2 minutes because either way, the Minister of Education still has to read the bill just for your party. Okay. Minister of Education, I'm giving you 2 minutes. You may pass the bill.
Okay, so honorable speaker and respected members of the House, today I would like to present a bill in front of you, which is a basic reform for one of the major critical issues of our country, which is the mismatch between education and employability. Okay, so as I've already mentioned, there is still a very huge gap between education and employability, and many of our graduates are unemployable. So I would like to present an act to strengthen the India's education system. Certain objectives of them are to expand the vocational training at first, by integrating the some courses from grade 6 onwards in government schools, also to seven I mean train at most 70% of 70 to 90% of our teachers who are interested in getting trained, and also to provide digital infrastructure to the governmental schools like digital boards and e-attendance system. And also I would like to present that he the teacher empowerment mission, which is something it is a compulsory annual training program, which uh, which will include the digital tools training and modern pedagogy. And also we have this bill envisions India that no child in India should uh, be denied the access to education, and also everyone should be getting the vocational training at the government schools, not like just traditional subjects like science, maths, and all. Also getting some skills, some digital skills, and also communication and etc., which help them in their career.
Thank you, Minister of Education. Now that the bill has been proposed, did anyone misunderstand, want a repetition, or wants to know anything specific about the bill before we start? Guys, this is your chance to basically ask him to repeat any points that he made in the bill. This is your chance to basically check whether or not he might have made a mistake and find anything he missed in the bill or anything you agree with in the bill. If you completely heard the bill, then I guess we can start. Um, sorry, type version. Yes, please. The Minister of Education, can you just like send a typed version of the bill that you're trying to pass? Okay. A slight amend to this session.
I would like
Since we have
2 minutes
noticed,
for
yes, no problem, Minister of Education. You have till 7:10 in order to type the bill. I'm just uh, making an announcement. So we have noticed that the Prime Minister of India and the Minister of Education are the only two people in proposition, which will make voting very hard for them. And especially in this part of the bill and debate session that we're going to have right now, they really need one minister, which is the Minister of Finance. Very much needed for this session. And hence, I would like to make a part of our OC member, Pranad, the Minister of Finance, and he will give a speech for you guys. So MPs, please wake up and actually ask questions because now you will get good responses and you need to pay attention to whatever these guys say because in this part of the session, they will be quoting a lot of stuff. Articles from 1997 to maybe 2009, any amends that they made, for example, in 2017, they can quote anything. So I want you guys to make a note of what they're saying. What are the statistics figures they're saying? What is wrong with what they're saying? So that in your speech, you can stand out by making sure that you know you won against the minister that you went up against. Right now, I'll be honest, the Minister of Education and the Prime Minister of India are doing very well. It is time for the MPs to please wake up. It's very easy for you guys to actually score marks compared to the two here, since they don't have the finance minister. So now that they have the finance minister, please, guys, come on, ask questions. This is the time to question them and come to a conclusion. Okay, so It is 7:10 on the dot. I'll give him another 30 seconds for the Minister of Education. Pranad is now the Minister of Finance. And since we have read out the bill, that meant that the proposition went first. Now the opposition will go, which means MPs, you may ask a question to the uh, the government. Would any of you like to ask a question on the bill?
I want to ask, Speaker.
Okay, MP of Patliputra, recognized.
Thank you for introducing this bill, Minister. Vocational training is a great way to prepare students for the workforce. However, to ensure its success, how will the government ensure that the quality of vocational training is consistent across all schools, especially in rural or less resourced areas? Also, what steps are being taken to ensure that the training programs align with the needs of local industries and offer real career prospects for students?
Any of you guys can raise your hand and speak. Government. It's not even necessary for the government to go. If the MPs want to add on to anything, the MP of Patliputra said, you guys may raise your hand and add on and ask questions. Even ridicule the government. Just do anything you want. Just raise your hand and say something. Mm, MP of Karnataka and Muzaffarnagar. Would you guys like to say anything?
The MP of Karnataka belongs to the government, so we're waiting for the Prime Minister's turn.
Okay, seems like the speaker has a problem. Oh, he's back.
Lord, one
Oh,
second.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, the bill is in the chat box. Y- If you guys read it properly, you should have gotten some questions at least. The MP of Patliputra has already asked a few questions. I'm guessing no other MP wants to ask questions. So, the government, you may respond now. Minister of Finance, Minister of Education, Prime Minister, please respond.
Could the MP of Patliputra again repeat her question?
You want me to?
Could you
Sure,
please repeat?
if you can.
Yes, Speaker. So, vocational training, as it is a great way to prepare students for the workforce. However, to ensure its success, how will the government ensure that the quality of vocational training is consistent across all schools, especially in rural or less resourced areas? Also, what steps are being taken to ensure that the training programs align with the needs of local industries and offer real prospects for students? Right?
Minister of Finance, did you understand what the MP of Patliputra wanted to say?
Yes, I completely understand. I would just take a minute or two to just think the answer though. Till then, the Prime
No
Minister
problem.
and the Education Minister could answer. Thank you.
Minister of Education, I would like you to answer at least one part of this question, especially since the finance minister isn't as involved in this part of the question as you are, since you are the one ensuring the quality of education across the country. The Prime Minister actually is talking much more than what the session actually requires, which is actually a really good thing. So, Minister of Education, I would like you specifically to answer this question.
Okay, so as far as the alignment is concerned, we are partnering with National Skills Qualification Work. It is a organization and it involves industry leaders, and we are partnering with them, and they are going to schools and organizing certain vocational programs to help the students in mastering some of the skills. And also they have regular updates regarding the updates in AI, robotics, green energy, and all. So this was the answer for the alignment. And the other part of the question I couldn't remember. So could you please repeat that?
Okay, so the MP of Patliputra asked you, how will you make the standard of this bill basically uniform across every school, and how you will ensure the quality of the skills that they're receiving, even in rural areas, especially since those are often overlooked. Minister of Education, I would like to ask you a question. Um, in your response, you're talking about robotics. Now, if you think about digital education and you're trying to think about upskilling people, excels very highly in IT. Isn't that so? I think what you're trying to say is you're trying to basically talk about how the skills using digital training, like online courses, which are very accessible, using skills built on IT, which is a really big industry in India. You can talk about any of that. What specifically provoked you to talk about robotics, Minister of Education?
See, as far as vocational training is concerned, it includes everything that the industry demands. Okay, it includes everything. It can include communication. It includes robotics also. It also includes machine learning, AI, and everything that our future demands. So, vocational training is like a 360-degree, type of education that helps upskill the students. So, vocational training includes all those subjects which are related to our future. So, yeah.
Can I add
Okay,
a point to that?
now 1 second, Minister of Finance, just 1 second. Now, Minister of Education, I want you to understand that what you're doing is you're basically explaining why the bill is relevant. You're not really answering the question of the MP of Patliputra. The question is how you're going to make it standardized and how you're going to make sure that even rural areas get this vocational training, which is so important and it encompasses every life skill. Yes, we get that. But she doesn't want to know about that. What she wants to know about is how you're going to make sure everyone receives these life-changing skills. Can you answer that question?
Okay, so as already said, that we are launching certain programs for teachers as well as the students for both in rural and urban areas, for both of them, to so that they are helped in acquiring all those skills. And I mentioned a program which is you know we Prime Minister once mentioned in this session only that we are partnering with public private models. We are going ahead with public private models to share costs with the industries. And so as we are going ahead, so the rural education is also, a relevant point it is. So I would like to quote Amartya Sen that the best way to remove poverty is through education and skill development, and not just economic growth. So it is nothing like that we are overlooking the rural population or anything. We are focusing equally on the rural and urban sector as far as education is concerned, because uh, may the child be from rural or urban area, he or she is ultimately the future of a country. So he or she is an important expenditure for our country.
Okay, thank you, Minister of Education. Minister of Finance, you may add your point and then we'll take the question from the
Okay.
MP of Patliputra.
Okay, so answering to the question of MP of Patliputra, okay, so sir, firstly, as per the NSO survey 2022, only 5.4% of India's workforce has received formal vocational training, while the demand which is rising every year. This is why I, as the finance ministry, has already allocated funds under the Skill India mission and the PMKY PMKY KVY 4.0 program, which targets training of 4.7 crore youth by 2026, which aligns our own bill. Right now, sir, secondly, when we are talking about local needs, we need to understand that 65% of India's population still lives in rural areas, which means that vocational training will be there because it is important, right? This is why we are discussing over here. The vocational training will focus upon agriculture, technology, food processing, handloom, and renewable energy. And when we are talking about urban areas, training will be aligned with the 14 to 19 lakh digital shortage projected by NASS's COM by 2026. Now, sir, when we are mentioning about the second part of the MP of Patliputra's question, which was quality. Now, sir, when we are talking about quality, we need to understand that this will be ensured through the National Skill Qualification Framework, which sets uniform standards nationwide, but states will also get a flexibility to adapt courses to their local needs and local industries to align with them, right? So this basically answers your question. Now, sir, when we are talking about teacher training, right now UDISC plus data shows right now, UDISC data shows that only about 30% of teachers are comfortable with digital tools. This why our bill mandates that 90% of teachers must be digitally trained, and the finance ministry will ensure that training funds are ring fenced for this purpose. Now, sir, when we are talking about another part of question which was later added by the honorable speaker also, that how would this education or training be accessible? Now, sir, when we are talking about rural area, training will go to them through hub and spoke skill centers at block levels, or whether it be like what mobile digital labs, and by using panchayat bhavans as training hubs. Digital training programs will also translated into local languages to remove the language barrier. Right. And when we are talking about this, the quality of teachers. Okay, wait, and yes, this was my last part. That when we are talking about partnerships, sir, industry partnerships are already made compulsory. Every vocational training program must be linked to local MEs, cooperatives, or urban industries, so that training directly aligns to direct jobs, job needs, and etc., to keep the people and keep the students with the real world. This is why our bill is the most important and helpful to all sectors, whether it be rural or urban sector. No, and as a finance ministry, I can assure that I can assure this house that funds will not be wasted on any other things, as I already mentioned, like for example advertisements, as it had happened in our past, right? They will strictly be to outcomes, for example digital infrastructure training, teacher training, and industry alignment. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister of Finance. The MP of Patliputra will now get to ask question.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Minister, Finance Minister, while you said 90% of teacher training is it should be they will be trained, right? So while 90% of training is an ambitious and necessary goal, there's often a gap between policy intentions and real world implementations. So given that many teachers already face heavy workloads and lack resources, how will the government ensure that this training is not just a checkbox exercise but actually leads a meaningful improvements in teaching quality? Also, with such a large scale effort, how do you plan to address potential challenges like regional disparities in training access and the risk of training programs becoming outdated or disconnected from the real needs of students?
Thank you, MP of Patliputra. Would anyone from the government like to answer and respond to the MP? Okay, both the Minister of Education and Prime Minister are in low in charge. Uh, we only have we only have 3 minutes left of session anyways. So can you guys like just stay? It's only 3 minutes now. I will entertain a 1 minute speech, preferably Prime Minister of India. Can you respond to this?
We also need to respond to this, right? It was particularly asked to whom? Please, the MP of Patliputra.
The Minister of Finance, can you repeat?
This question was particularly asked to whom?
It not
Was
particularly asked to
no,
any
right?
of you. You only one from the government can answer. I just want the Prime Minister to conclude.
So can't
Actually, the
we,
leader of
speaker?
opposition. Sorry. Yeah.
So can't we answer to the question?
Yes, you also may, but 1 second. Isn't the leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi here?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
leader of opposition. I haven't heard your voice in a long time.
Hello?
Your rival.
Anybody hear me?
Hello, leader of opposition. Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear
Hello?
us? I guess not. That's all right, leader of opposition. Um, 1 second.
He
Um,
left, I guess.
yeah, no problem. That's all right. Okay, so what we need to do is, Minister of Finance, since you're ready, you can speak.
The answer, right? Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Just one last part. Last part. MP of Patliputra. Could you please again just repeat your entire question firstly? I just need to understand the question and then I'll answer.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes.
So as you said that 90% of the teachers should be trained. So like it's an ambitious and necessary goal, but there's often a gap between policy intentions and real world implementation, given that many teachers already face heavy workloads and lack resources. How will the government ensure that this training is not just a checkbox exercise, but actually leads to meaningful improvements in teaching quality? Also, with such a large scale effort, how do you plan to address potential challenges like regional disparities in training access and risk of training programs becoming outdated or disconnected from the real needs of students?
Okay. Okay, completely understood your question, MP of Patliputra. Right. Now I'll divide this into, I guess, 3 to 4 parts. Okay. So now, sir, we need to understand that the third part of the question, which was regional access, etc. I have already answered that question in the past. So I request the MP of Patliputra to again just listen to what all answers which I'm giving rather than asking questions or repeating questions. Now, sir, when we are coming towards the workload part, right? First of all, let me start by like first part, right? This year alone, the Ministry of Finance has marked 3,500 crore under the Digital India e-learning initiative for teacher training, right? In addition to 1,200 crore under the PMKYV 4.0, specifically for capacity building of trainers. This was already answered in my previous question. Now, sir, when we are specifically talking about workload management, we need to clearly understand that we are not asking teachers to abandon their classrooms and sit in training halls. Instead, training will follow a blended model: online, modular, self-paced certification combined with short residential workshops during vacation periods. Also, when we are talking about, let's take the real world facts, right? The Diksha program platform already reaches 35 crore students and teachers, which will be expanded for this purpose under this bill. Now, ma'am, now, sir, the additional human resource support, right? To reduce teacher workload, we are financing recruitment of 50,000 new assistant teachers across all states, so that existing teachers are not overburdened during the same transition. Now, sir, we need to understand that when we are talking about, according to UDISC 2021-2022, 30% of India, 30% of teachers in India are digitally trained. So, sir, if 30% of teachers are digitally trained, by passing this bill, we could always increase this number, which would lead to better India, better economy of India, right? This is why we are passing this bill. Now teachers will not face an extra burden, right? They will receive financial incentives under the finance bill. So certified trainers will qualify for higher pay grades and promotion pathways, making this a reward, not a punishment, and not a work burden, right? And also, when we are looking at things globally, for example, let's take Singapore, right? Yes, speaker. So okay, last part. When
I'm
Singapore
sorry, I'll need to cut you off. Yeah,
okay, works. Thank you.
in like 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds. Just speak what you want to. 30 seconds. You're mute. Wait. Minister of Finance, you're mute. You can say this. It's alright. It's alright. You have 30 seconds. You're still on mute, Minister of Finance.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I was muted. My bad. Sorry.
It's
Okay.
alright.
Now, sir, when we are clearly speaking about globally, we need to understand that Singapore mandated digital training for 100% of teachers. They phased it over 5 years with blended models. We are going to adopt a similar model, gradual, phased, and supported with funds, so that teachers are empowered and not workload, according to what MP of Patliputra thinks, which is baseless and false. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister of Finance. I think that is a suitable conclusion to this debate. So now we have come across a few questions on the bill. So from clause one to, it says that only like three clauses, I guess, technically not even one. Okay, we have two clauses. First clause will be the proposition of digital education and vocational training to be expanded. And the second would be at least 90% of the teachers in government schools should be trained, and that the children should be trained with proper skills, including communication skills, which help them in the careers. That is two clauses. Um, so are those in favor of the bill, please raise your hand. Prime Minister of India, you will need to also, and the Minister of Education, yes. All three of you will need to raise your hand. Okay. So that is three. All those against, please lower your hands.
All those against, raise or lower your hands or read it.
No, raise your hand if you're against. Okay. So from the MP of Patliputra, you wanted an amend for clause 2, which is about at least 90% of the teachers in government schools should be trained, and the children should be trained with proper skills, including communication skills, which help them in the careers. You proposed that it should be amended in order for it to be more consistent with every school and including rural areas. Um, was the response from the Minister of Finance and Education suitable enough, or do you still have the same stance?
I don't like, I was not satisfied with the answers of both of them. So, yes.
Okay. So this bill goes to I wins, I wins, I wins. So I is basically the people who voted for. Since it is three versus three, the I shall win. Um, since there is an amend, however, we do need to conclude this bill. Um, the Minister of Finance, can you please decide these words? One second.
Sorry, what?
I have sent you something to say, Minister of
Yeah,
Finance.
okay. The IMO, the bill has been passed. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor, Minister of Education, do you not believe in your own government? Minister of Education, you're the one who passed the bill. Thank you. Um, all those against. Okay, so this goes to the government, which is the side of I. The session as the House is adjourned to meet again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Um, so the session has concluded. Thank you, session. It was good to hear you guys speak. Um, so now I will give you guys the certificates for participation by this week. Also, no, you do not need to appear tomorrow at 11 a.m. MP of Nagar. It is just a courtesy that I need to take since I am this actual speaker of the parliament. Don't worry about it. You don't need to come tomorrow at 11 a.m. So I will tell you now the awards that are available. So first is the best minister. Second is the best MP. And then we have the honorable mention. So yeah, those are the three awards. The rest of you shall be getting participation awards and certificates, rest assured. By this week, all of your results will be announced and we'll put it on the group. Any questions?